afternoon, and welcome to the next in our series Stargate franchise documentary. I'm delighted to be joined by the one and only Corin Nemec to talk about his role as Jonas Quinn in Stargate SG1. And I suppose, Corin, Stargate SG1, a massive fan base all over the world, a real sci-fi phenomenon in terms of its following. And how delighted were you to be part of it?
Well, I got to tell you, when I got cast on the show, really, I wasn't as familiar with the success of the TV series because I didn't have Showtime at the time. And when the show switched over to Syfy, when the show switched over to Syfy Channel, the size and scope of it was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, the sets that they built. The level of detail that they gave to the production, the amount of money they spent per episode was absolutely insane. I mean, I was just completely and totally blown away by by the production value of it, and the writing on the show was so great that once I was able to get into character. And they did a great job of introducing my character. They didn't force my character down the throats of the audience. They kind of made it more of a bit of an organic kind of an approach. And I think that helped a lot because there were so many people who were very upset that Michael Shanks had left the show. And when I came on board, they weren't exactly that stoked about it.
Yeah, and I suppose, Corin, the Stargate was a big phenomenon before you even got cast in sort of your role. So going into that sort of franchise, obviously it's a career changer in many sort of ways because it makes you being seen all over the world in terms of Stargate SG1 and its sort of cult following. So
yeah.
in terms of that gig, how important was it for you to land that role?
How did I land it?
And how important was it for the success of your career to get cast in that role?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, you can never tell what show might be good or bad for your career, to be honest. But what I was shocked about was I had no idea about conventions and the whole convention scene and, all of that. I had no clue. And in actuality, I think that the level of success that Stargate has in that convention world, and the amount of travel I've been able to do, and how many times I've been able to personally meet people who are supporters of the show, that's probably the most biggest thing. Is that all that travel keeps introducing more people to me as an actor, even outside of what, and then they might support me in other in other shows.
Yeah, and I suppose, Corin, you mentioned there a sci-fi phenomenon, and I suppose Stargate, it made cult status, and the character Jack O'Neill is legendary in terms of sci-fi. And what was it like working alongside the likes of Richard Dean Anderson and Christopher Judge, who were probably megastars by the time you came into the show?
Yeah, I mean, again, because I hadn't followed the series because it was on Showtime, I wasn't really aware of the level of success of the show outside of seeing billboards for it and advertisements for it previous to that. But once I got on the show, to be honest, both Richard Dean Anderson and Chris Judge and Amanda Tapping and all the writers and producers and all that stuff, they're so laid back, so cool, so approachable, so down to earth that it really wasn't a strange experience for me, which can happen sometimes when you go onto a show that's been on the air for a long time. Depending on what the personality types are like, you could potentially walk into a disaster, But it was just absolutely incredible, and working on the show was for me, one of the best experiences of my career.
Yeah, and I suppose that Corin, in terms of Stargate,
I'm sorry.
In terms of Stargate SG1, as you mentioned, a big, massive fan base. throughout the world. And were you sort of, when the first day you arrived on set, in terms of when you landed the role, were you sort of taken back by you sheer enormity and the scale of what you landed?
No, I had no idea. I really didn't have a clue, the size and scope of the show, or how popular it was, or how many people were watching it. I really realized that once we got into doing all the conventions and stuff. That's when I realized just how huge and successful the show was. That people wanted to fly me over to Australia, New Zealand, fly me to France and Germany and Belgium and Switzerland and all these places, just for the show. I mean, that was just absolutely a mind blowing experience.
Yeah, and I suppose in Corin, in terms of watching it back, are you the sort of type that likes to watch yourself back in action, or watch an episode, or are you sort of one that obviously likes to cast the role and obviously don't like, are one that don't like yourself watching back your own sort of shows? And when was the first time did you actually shoot an episode and then obviously watch it back when it was produced, or did you let it go in terms of watching it? Or
Yeah, I watched every episode that I did of Stargate. It depends on what show I'm doing. If I'm doing a show that maybe is not as exciting for me visually, or as exciting for me as far as storylines go and stuff, I might not go out of my way to watch whatever that show might be. But when it comes to a show like Stargate, I was dying to see how it all turned out. I was dying to see what the sets looked like and what the action scenes looked like and all of the other stuff. I mean, it was it was a great experience for me, because I don't watch shows that I'm in watching me in particular. I watch the overall collective of the show, the how it's edited, how it's shot, how it's lit, what the production design is like, and then how the character fits into that world.
I suppose that, Corin, in terms of sci-fi shows, and you think about your Star Trek and your Star Wars, many of the enemies are not really mortal. They're what you call it, sort of fictional, sort of space type characters. But what probably made Stargate such an success was SG1, that most of its main enemies, in terms of the Ghouls, they were really mortal human sort of characters, although they probably had a snake in their head, as the saying goes. But most of the enemies that you met.
Can you hold on 1 second? This is going to take us back to Ocean Springs, bro. Okay, maybe this. I don't know. We'll see. Let me see. Oh yeah, this is West. Yeah, we're good. Oh, sorry, buddy. We're on our way to another location right now for a location scout. For the Blackwater Blues show. So we haven't been this way before. As far as like the whole backstory of Stargate, I was a huge fan of the Stargate movie itself, and I just thought that the Stargate movie was absolutely phenomenal, and a very kind of overlooked sci-fi, because it didn't blow up that big in the theaters when it came out. So I was a little bit familiar with the backstory of the show, in terms of the bad guys and all of that. I mean, again, the level of detail and attention that they put towards costumes, towards makeup, towards the production design, it brought all of those worlds together and made them very vivid and real.
I suppose, lastly, Corin, before I let you go, in terms of your own character, Jonas Quinn, if you to sum him up, if I put Jonas Quinn in a dictionary and I left two blank sentences underneath, I asked Corin Nemec how would he describe Jonas Quinn after portraying him, what would you like those two sentences to read?
Well, the character of Jonas Quinn was always supposed to be kind of naive and innocent, and very open, and also willing to do what it takes to get the job done in the same respect. So that's really how I approach the character.
Corin, an absolute pleasure talking to you today, to relive your memories and your portrayal of Jonas Quinn in Stargate SG1. Hopefully, it brings back a sort of fond memories being involved in an iconic sci-fi franchise documentary. Thanks for taking your time to share your memories with us today, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Yes, it totally does. And if you need to do a follow-up, if you have any other questions you need to ask or whatever, we can set up another Zoom chat when I'm not driving. I'm so sorry that I totally brain farted because we're so busy right now. So I apologize for that.
Cheers, Corin. Take care.
Yeah, you bet, buddy. Great to talk to you, man.